Welcome to another episode of Out from the Horrorbox. I'm your Yuletide host, Dom. I'm going to take a look at the 2016 Christmas psychological horror film that's directed by Chris Peckover, Better Watch Out. If you have not seen this film, I highly recommend that you stop listening and go watch it. Alright, did you actually watch it? Well, it's too late. I'm going to get into the review, and there's going to be a certain point where it's already too late because it's going to be a spoiler, and there's a big twist in the film that makes this movie phenomenal, and I think it really helps to make this movie work in a way. And I know that if you're just like listening to this, it really will ruin the surprise. I feel like this is a movie that works well when you watch it that very first time. And I mean, yeah, it works later because when I'm watching it, I was like ready for it to come because I was like, oh yeah, that's what happens next. There was something else I completely forgot about, and I'll probably get into when I get into my final thoughts about. But yeah, just if you haven't seen it, I mean, you still have time. So you can pause this at any time. It's a podcast. You're listening to it. You can pause it at any point, come back. That's what I did. I was watching a review of it one time. I literally stopped. I was going to go back and watch it before I'd watched the movie, and then I remembered, and I was like, oh, I can't. I'm going to watch the movie first. So I went and watched it. Then I was like, yeah, this movie really works well when you watch it first. So make sure the front door is locked, the back door is secure, and no windows are open. As we check out, Better Watch Out. While working on the film Limbo, which has still been stuck in production limbo, director and writer Chris Peckover was approached by American producers Brian Hamble and Paul Jensen. The pair brought him a script written by Zach Kahn. They asked if Peckover was interested in directing the film, which at the time was called Safe Neighborhood. Peckover said he had ideas for the script, so and agreed and came on board. But him and Zach Kahn, the writer, worked on the script together, and they decided to kind of move things in the script. There's a twist, so we're gonna get to, like I said, that happens. I think in the script it originally happens a little bit earlier, and he's like, let's put it at the middle, because if you put it right there, it gives a good like transition from like this kind of film to that kind of film. And that's, Zach Kahn agreed, and they went through the script, and that's what they changed it into. Chris Peckover only had one film up until that point, Undocumented, which is a mockumentary style film about filmmakers following undocumented workers crossing the border. And he also has dual citizenship in Canada and Australia, and he was able to secure $3 million to film in Australia. And eventually Peckover met Josh Olson, who created the trailers for films such as Don't Breathe. And that's when he was like, I really like the script. I really like everything you got, and I want to create like a nice trailer for you guys. Like, give me as much as you can, but this title, it's got to go. So that's when they kind of decided to change it to Better Watch Out, which fits more of the Christmas theme anyways, because it's taken from the song. And like, you better watch out, you better not, whatever, Santa Claus is coming to town, whatever. All the actors were of Australian nationality, excluding the parents, sorry. They were played by Patrick Warburton and Virginia Madsen, respectfully. And when production started, Dacre Montgomery, he was getting ready to start filming Power Rangers. So they had a limited stunts that he could perform. But honestly, this kind of led to the scenes that we see in the film where he's. This is kind of a slight spoil over, but it's not spoiling the twist. When he's being hanged to death. It did kind of work though, because it makes it so like they weren't able to shoot as much as they wanted to, so they had to kind of imply it a little bit more and kind of work things around that. And I think it works a lot better for that, because you don't get an outright like hanging, right? Like you kind of see it from like these kind of different angles and stuff. And I mean you do see it happen, but what I mean is, like, I think it's one of those things like with like Jaws, where because the mechanical shark didn't work too well, they had to, hide it more and not show it as much, and that worked in its favor. I think that's like them trying not to like, because I think it was in his contract, because his agents were like, oh well, Power Rangers is gonna be a big hit, and he could just explode from here. We don't want him like getting hurt and like ruining his chances to be in this film or in that film, and so that's why they kind of limited the stunts. Power Rangers, did okay. I think I liked it, but he didn't really get a major hit until he was on Stranger Things as Billy. At the start of production, 7 of the 8 sound stages at Fox were being used by Mel Gibson's Hacksaw Ridge, which only left over the biggest and most expensive studio for Peckover to shoot on. This would have set their budget back by $250,000, so they had to cut back where they could, like cutting off the AC early, causing what people on set said caused a disconnect. Seeing the snow, Christmas lights, and actors wearing winter clothes, with that heat. They said it was about like 82 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's like you got like this kind of like, whew, it's pretty hot in here, but I see all the snow everywhere, and everyone's got jackets on. It should be cold. And I think they even said that like when they were out, like where the snow part was, like they thought like they felt like it was like cooler than it was. And I think that one thing that helped Chris Peckover to rein in the budget is that from working on Undocumented, I think it was a very lower budget film, so he knew where to put the money to, right? Yes, we got to pay a lot for the studio because it's a bigger studio. I don't know why Mel Gibson needs all these stupid sound stages for Hacksaw Ridge. It's so dumb. And the film itself isn't too complicated, so I don't think they really needed to. I think some of the special effects were like maybe the more expensive parts, like getting like not physical practical effects. Sorry, like the spider, and I know they did some of the spiders when she's like falling out of the attic. I know some of those are CG, and then also just like the blood, and then like the stunts and everything they had to do from there. So I can see where they put their money, and they did it in a great spot.
Want to put her in the mood? Watch a horror movie.
Dude, she's like twice our age. I really don't think it's gonna happen.
She's here.
You are breathtaking.
Thank you. Now don't stay up and watch scary movies, okay? It'll give you nightmares again.
So what do you want to do?
Ricky, why can't you just leave me alone?
He's such a jerk.
Don't hang up on me.
What was that? Oh my god.
Get away from the window.
There's someone there.
Ashley! Are you hiding? I'll find you.
Don't worry, I'll protect you. This is exciting.
What you say? What are you doing, man? Please let me out of this.
You're home alone again?
That's awesome! Deck the halls with
I got you. Why can't exes just go away? Good night.
Hey, Lisa here with some horrifying movie facts for you. Though it's never stated in the film, the demon that takes possession of Regan McCann has a name, Pazuzu, which is taken from the name of the king of the demons in Assyrian and Babylonian mythology. Now, the poster for the Ghoulies, featuring a ghoulie popping out of a toilet, reportedly caused several angry mothers to write letters to the studio saying that their kids were too scared to use the bathroom after seeing the poster. And the original title for Texas Chainsaw Massacre was Head Cheese. The actor who plays Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen, had to wear 3-inch heels so he could tower over everyone in the cast, which made chase scenes a little more challenging to film. Keep up to date with all the latest releases by subscribing to our channel and checking the notification bell. And I'll see you next time.
At Christmas time, 17-year-old Ashley, played by Olivia DeYoung, is babysitting precocious 12-year-old Luke Lerner, who's played by Levi Miller. Luke talks with his best friend Garrett, played by Ed Oxenbould, expressing his plan to try and seduce Ashley. Garrett voices his concern that his plan will not work and tries to get him to smoke some weed. After Ashley arrives, Garrett leaves along with Luke's parents. They are played by Patrick Warburton and Virginia Madsen, respectfully, who are going out for the night. Before they leave, they express their sadness for Ashley's family moving. Luke opens a bottle of champagne after hearing Ashley speaking with her boyfriend. Ashley tries to put the night back on track with a horror film. Luke expresses he has romantic feelings to her and unsuccessfully attempts to seduce her while watching a horror film. Strange things begin to happen outside and put Ashley on edge, but it is revealed to be Garrett, who has snuck back over to hang out. Hearing a window break upstairs, the trio find a brick inscribed with "You leave and you die." Garrett panics and runs out the back door, but falls down, apparently killed by an unknown shooter. Shocked, Ashley and Luke run upstairs and hide in the attic. Ashley almost breaks her neck from a fall, but Luke catches her. After they run into Luke's room and hide in the closet, a masked intruder armed with a shotgun walks in. Ashley recognizes the mask as one of Luke's and tells the intruder to take it off, revealing Garrett. Ashley realizes that Luke was hoping to seduce her by scaring her and staging a rescue. Angered, Ashley yells at Luke, calling him mental and saying he needs therapy, and tries to leave. Luke follows behind Ashley, and once at the top of the stairs, Luke slaps her, causing her to fall down the stairs and be knocked unconscious. Ashley wakes to find that Luke has bound her with duct tape and forces her to play truth or dare. Her boyfriend, Ricky, played by Alex Mikic, arrives at the house after receiving a text message sent by Ashley earlier. When Ricky fails to find Ashley, he realizes something is wrong. Luke tries to knock him out, but fails. After nearly killing Luke, Ricky is threatened by Garrett with a shotgun. Luke is able to knock Ricky out, and they tie him up beside Ashley. While Ashley uses a shard of glass to cut herself free, Luke tries to show Garrett what happens if you actually hit someone in the head with a swinging paint can, and this is based on the scene from Home Alone. Luke tries to demonstrate with Ricky, but misses on the first swing. Ashley gets free and threatens Luke with the gun. He releases the paint can, which hits and kills Ricky. When Ashley realizes the gun is empty, she tries to escape to a group of carolers outside. Luke uses the brick tossed through the upstairs window to knock her out again before she can alert them. Luke calls Ashley's ex-boyfriend, Jeremy, who is played by Dacre Montgomery, claiming that she wants him to write an apology letter. While Jeremy does so, Luke hangs him from a tree, making the apology look like a suicide note. Garrett has a change of heart and starts to free Ashley, but is killed by Luke. Luke stabs Ashley in the neck and stages the scene to frame Jeremy. Later, he goes to bed and waits for the return of his parents, who contact the police. Ashley survives, having placed duct tape over the stab wound to stop the bleeding. Luke watches from his bedroom window as Ashley gives him the finger before being wheeled into the ambulance. Later, in a mid-credits scene, Luke tells his mom that he's worried about Ashley and that they should go to the hospital to check on her. Now let's move on to some trivia about the film. Selena Gomez was interested in playing the role of Ashley, but wasn't able to due to her revival tour and her music taking off. And honestly, I really would have liked to see Selena Gomez. I mean, at the time, I don't think I was a huge fan of hers, but after seeing her more in What We Do, not What We Do, Shadows, goddamn it, in Only Murders in the Building, and then she was in a couple of films here and there that I've seen, and I've really been like, whoa. I think I like her a lot more than I did back when I was younger. I always thought she just looked like a little kid to me when she was on Disney Channel and stuff. But honestly, I think she's really matured and she's grown into being a better actor than I think she was back then. And I mean, the last 3 seasons of Only Murders in the Building, she's killed it. I think she's done great, and she probably would have done pretty good in this role too. I do love Olivia DeJonge though; she played it really good. And speaking of Olivia DeJonge, let's move into the next one. Initially, she did not want to act in another horror film. She was in The Visit, and she was in Scare Campaign just before Better Watch Out. And The Visit is really where she kind of got more of her name out there. That was M. Night Shyamalan's kind of comeback. I got to see it early before everyone else. I got to see it, oh man, it was in midsummer, before the film came out. I think it was maybe 2015-ish, I think. I got to see it early, an early screening. It was me, my brother, my friend, and 2 of my friends. And honestly, I did not really like The Visit. I know people love it. I honestly think that Split is a better movie, and that to me is more of why I like M. Night. Well, I have such a love-hate. I gotta do that thing on M. Night because it's he'll do something and it really makes me mad, and he'll do something that really makes me excited, and then he'll do something that's no, you should have just done this. You should have just done that. But getting off topic, director Chris Peckover explained the role to DeJonge and said that the character had agency and is a fighter, and that convinced DeJonge to take the part. And I'm so glad because I think she does an amazing job. I think she's perfect for the role. I think this role was I'm not going to say written for her because it wasn't, but it just seems like she is just the right fit for this film. And it's it would have just been interesting to see someone else, right? Just see someone different in that role. But I'm just so glad that she decided to take the role and that it didn't go to someone else. The movie was filmed in January 2016 at the height of Southern Hemisphere summer. This meant that the production crew had to create enough fake snow so that the house looked like it was set in the middle of a northern U.S. winter. Because the film, like I said, was filmed in Australia, but it was still it's weirdly an American production too. And yeah, but they perfectly captured, I think, the look and feel of an American, it's somewhere in America, America, USA, not really anywhere in particular. I don't even think they say any city in particular, but I think it works really well. And it's so weird, yeah, like you decided to shoot it in January in Australia, but that's their summer. Like when it's our winter here, it's their summer. They could have totally waited till later in the summer to our summer to shoot there for their winter, but I don't know. It's still like it goes to that whole like disconnect thing of like, well, it looks like it's snowing and it looks like it's Christmas time, but it feels like it's summer, and your mind just doesn't know what to do because I've been in a place like that before where your mind just like to disconnect from it. You're like, ooh, it's kind of cold in here. It's like, no, it's not. It's like 80 degrees. It's like, oh, it's so weird because like your mind just like automatically will do that. So Luke's dance with the baseball bat is an almost perfect mimic of Alex's dance from A Clockwork Orange, and you can just totally tell that that's kind of where Khan got the idea for like that, and this kind of like idea of like he's kind of this mischievous little Christmas imp, I guess. Kind of works really well. Really, you can just kind of see like that parallel with him and Alex from A Clockwork Orange, where it's like they don't really care about like what this is doing to other people. They don't care about the feelings or concerns with those other people, the people around them, and they just do things and they just cause havoc and they wreck things, and they just don't give any kind of concern. And you can tell that that's where he kind of got that inspiration from. Yeah, maybe it's not the same story where like it's someone who has to learn that like and you get deprogrammed from that and like the ramifications of all of that, but it is like he's still this kind of psychopath who is just thinking that you're a possession and he's not growing emotionally or even just like mentally, and he thinks that she should just be his because he wants her. And it's just that whole idea of like, yeah, this is like kind of that kind of incel kind of idea and culture where like, well, I like you, I do the things that you say you want from like men, and like these guys are horrible to you, like why don't you love me type of things. It's ridiculous and it's dumb. Not the film, but that idea. It's just stupid and over the top. Olivia DeJonge and Ed Oxenbould also starred together as siblings in The Visit, and I didn't even put that together. I had seen, like I said, the Visit, and I had seen this film. I didn't even put two and two together. I completely forgot. Well, that just goes to show you how much I didn't care about The Visit, but that's pretty interesting. Like I think it's kind of cool when, you know, actors get to act again with like other people that they've acted with before, especially like when they had a good time. As I know that I didn't like The Visit, but you can tell that at least like her and him, they did get along really well. They had a lot of good chemistry as brother and sister, and you can tell that it kind of spilled over into this, that they probably had a good time. You know, they'd gotten older, their acting had probably gotten better, and they came back and they're like playing different characters and different off of each other, so you know that they probably had an understanding about the way that like they would do things, and I think that's pretty cool. I like that, especially when it's like that where, yeah, you have to play like siblings in one thing, and then you come back and you're like totally different characters in the next thing. Kill Counter. Better watch out. It doesn't have a lot of kills or deaths in the film, but there's one death that packs quite a punch. Let's take a look and see just how many kills we have. The first kill is done after Ashley has been tied down to a chair, and Ricky, her boyfriend, arrives at the house after getting a text from quote-unquote Ashley. It's actually Luke sending the text. Ricky fails to find Ashley and realizes that something's wrong. Ricky is attacked by Luke, but he fails to knock him out. And after nearly killing Luke, Ricky is threatened by Garrett with a shotgun. Luke knocks Ricky out and then ties him up beside Ashley. Ashley uses a shard of glass that she found to cut herself free, and that's when Luke tries to show Garrett what happens if you do hit someone in the head with a swinging paint can, and that's from Home Alone. Like I said, it's this whole through thing in the movie from the beginning where they're talking about like, yeah, you know, like I've seen it online. Like if you get hit in the head with the paint can, it's not going to be like in the film. It's going to be like a bigger mess. And I think Garrett's the one who's like, no, it's not that crazy. Like you're just looking at YouTube videos and they add in all this effects and stuff. So Luke swings the paint can and it misses Ricky on the first swing, and he gets it back. And that's when Ashley finally gets free, and she threatens Luke with the gun and finds out that it's not loaded. And then he releases the paint can, which hits and kills Ricky. And it's one of the most, I think, brutal, messed up scenes. And they don't show it. They cut away, and I think they show like the back side of his head, but they don't show it impacting him. They just show the blood and the paint splatter everywhere, the yellow paint mixing with the red blood. And I just imagine, because at this point is where everything, this is like, I feel like the twist is like, it's that, oh, this is actually the kid and his friend doing it. I think that's part of the twist, but I think the main twist is right here where that paint can hits Ricky in the head, and you realize that it's gone from just being like, hey, we're trying to pull this thing off. We're like a little out of control, but now everything's out of control. Like what Luke is willing to go through next is like once his friend starts to betray him, we'll get to it, but he does something. He turns on him. He's turned on Ashley too, to just, he thinks of her as such a item, as such your possession, that now it's just like, I don't even know if I want you. Look what you made me do. You made me kill your boyfriend. And it's just like crazy. It's just like it just spirals from there. So the next death and kill we get is when Luke calls Ashley's ex-boyfriend, Jeremy, who's played by Zachary Montgomery. I just want to point out that Billy is in this. I think he's a pretty good actor, and I just wish he was in more things. And in the text that he sends her, it's that he wants, or that she wants an apology from him, you know, to kind of maybe make up and to write this letter, and he kind of falls for it, and he comes over, and that's when, and like I said, when everything starts spiraling, Luke is just now hell-bent on, you know, instead of just like plan A, which is seduce her, it's gone to plan B, where it's like, now we gotta frame this guy to make it look like he was like heartbroken and he wanted revenge, and so they string him up. He strings him up to the tree and hangs him, and it makes it look like it was like some kind of suicide, and like the apology was like a suicide note, and he dies from hanging. And yeah, like I said, like this is where you start getting really from Luke, like he is crazy. He's a psychopath now. And I don't mean just like now. I mean, he probably always was a psychopath, but this just kind of confirms for everyone. I mean, Ashley and Garrett, they're the only ones there, that like this guy, this person that they thought, you know, just a sweet, innocent, you know, naive, you know, virgin kid, actually has been on, like when he talks about being on the internet and saying these things, and like you don't get the sense that it's like, oh, it's been anything more than just like watching some videos and like games and stuff, but it's probably more than that. It's probably more into this world where you follow the red pill and you start thinking like, oh yeah, like I'm the nice guy, so I deserve having her, this girl that, you know, she always has to deal with these bad guys, and I should be the one here protecting her, and I'm always there for her. And let's just get straight into the last kill, and that's when, Ashley, she's been tied up again, and she's talking to Garrett, because he's the one who's having to do all the work for, not all the work, but do, the work for Luke to, tie her up and tie these other people up, and she starts talking to him and, starts to convince him, hey, there's something wrong with your friend. Your friend Luke is a psychopath. You're literally helping him do this. You're going to be in just as much trouble. You don't have the luxury of, he's a spoiled rich kid. You're not. You could help me, and I can vouch for you, and you probably wouldn't be, it probably won't be as bad for you. And so, he starts having that change of heart, and he decides, what, fuck it. I'm going to start freeing her, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help her get away. That's when, Luke goes full. I think this is the point where he really does go full, crazy. He just goes over the edge, where he's like, I really don't care anymore. And he kills Garrett by shooting him with the shotgun. And it's like, man, you were willing to kill your best friend just because of this girl. Just because of this girl who buffed, your advances and said, no, I don't want you. You're, one, too young, but also, you're just not what I'm looking for. You're not, what I want in a partner. And, there's some people in the world who understand that and, just decide, yeah, I got to work on myself. Maybe I should find someone else. She is moving. She's too old for me. She's never going to really date me anyways. Maybe I can find someone else. Then there's those who are like, nope, I'm going to burn down the world because you said no. And that's what he decides to do. And that's where we get all these. And like I said, the film doesn't have a lot of kills. It's 3. But what I feel like it's one of them is really bam, like a punch to the face, literally, with a paint can. And the other one is just man, that's really sad. You were willing to kill your best friend just to what? To get what? What is the result? You're going to be found out anyways. But let's just get straight into my final thoughts about the film. Better Watch Out is kind of like if you took Home Alone and you decided to make Kevin McAllister kind of an incel. And he decided to trap his babysitter and make her his. This film, like I said, you really had to watch it first and get this, to get the full twist that is it was actually him setting up everything the whole time, and then him knocking her out, getting her boyfriend to come over, killing her boyfriend, killing her ex-boyfriend, and then killing his friend. This kid is just a psychopath, right? He needed to be dealt with. And maybe somebody should have been monitoring what he was looking at and what he's been delving into, because obviously whatever he's been into has sent him down this road of, I want this woman or girl or teenage lady, whatever, and I'm going to get her at whatever it costs. I'm going to set up this elaborate plan. I'm going to take out whoever I need to, and it doesn't matter, even if it's her. If she rejects me, I'm going to take her out as well. And that's what he tries to do, and it's just her trying to survive this maniac who decides, I need you. You need to be mine. who's someone who's still literally a kid, who's still thinking like a kid, who hasn't progressed beyond that. And I love this film. I mean, it's not like the greatest film from 2016 or 2017, whenever it came out, but it is a pretty good film. I think they set it up really well. I think the directing is pretty well done, and Chris Peckover does a great job. And it's kind of sad because it's like he's only done 2 films, this and Undocumented. I haven't seen Undocumented. It does sound interesting. That's just like a film about like these like journalists. That's kind of like first person kind of not first person, you know what I mean, like found footage type mockumentary style about like these journalists that follow some immigrants, and then they're crossing the border, and they get captured along with them, and I think they get like tortured or something. I don't know, something like that. Sounds interesting. Haven't seen it. Then he did this, and while he was working on the film Limbo, and I know he's been working on that. It's listed on his IMDb that he's still working on it. I don't think that movie's ever going to come out, especially since it's been since like forever ago. And then with the pandemic and everything, and people moving on from a lot of the productions, especially with the recent strikes and everything, I think it's been too long for that film, unless it gets like moved along, fast tracked along quicker, and you know people get really into it, and then they bring it out. But I don't know. I wish he would get more jobs, just more opportunities to direct in general. Because like I don't even know if he's got anything planned besides Limbo, and yeah, I just wish. It just kind of sucks when you know that there's a good director out there and they don't get the jobs, and then yet some kid who's so-and-so's son gets to direct their first film, and then they get all these job opportunities, whatever. But the acting is pretty good. I think what's her name? Olivia DeJonge does a great job, and so does Ed Oxenbould and Levi Miller and Patrick Warburton and Virginia Madsen. They stand out for just the like little scenes that they have. They play these roles so well, and they really do make you feel like you're watching kind of this, what you think is like this kind of wholesome like Christmas movie, and leading into like the bigger twist, and just like the effects, the practical effects, and the suspense and like the build up is pretty good, and just everything about it is really good. It is a very just like, I think it's only like an hour and a half maybe. It's not very long. It's so those are some of the like downsides of like, I think once it gets past the twist, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, so we know where we're headed with this. I do like the idea of the ending where she's getting put into the ambulance, and she flips him off, and he realizes that she's not dead, because he thought he left her for dead, and that he had set everything up perfect to be so that it would just be like, wow, he was asleep the whole time and he didn't hear any of this or whatever. And it's a good movie. It's honestly a solid like Christmas film if you want like a good like Christmas horror that's like like you want to show people that has like a slight twist. This is one that really stands out. It's really good. Highly recommend it. It's got I give it 2 thumbs up. Yeah. Honestly, this is such a good film. Watch it. If you're already at this point and you haven't watched it and you've spoiled yourself with it, just go watch it. If you've already seen it, would you show this to other people? Right? Would you for like the holidays? Would you be like, hey, let's watch this film? Especially if you're really into like, I think if you're into like Home Alone and that like type of film, Home Alone 2, and you like watching those for the holidays, I think this one really is like, I think that kind of continuation. It's like a more mature version of that, especially when there's actual death and consequences from like the things you do to people. And yeah, it's a good film. It's a good film. I like that. You know, it's just kind of what it is. It's one and done. Nothing crazier. No sequel. You don't have to do anything beyond that. Pretty good film. Have you had a home invasion? Did you think that a bucket of paint could destroy a human's head? Have you had anything strange happen while babysitting? Because I'd hate to find out it was a ruse just to get close to me and get in my pants to be ridiculous. Or maybe would it? Maybe I'd be a little charmed. Well, thank you all for listening. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe to get every new episode downloaded. Do you have any strange, mysterious, or unexplained stories? Are they fact? Did you craft a story yourself? If you'd like us to read your stories, you can email them to horrorboxpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to read them on the podcast. We'd also like to post those stories on our socials, on Instagram, Threads, or TikTok at Horrorbox Podcast, where we also have updates and news. One last thing, if you like the podcast and would like to support the podcast, buy me a coffee. You can buy me a coffee at coffee.com/horrorboxpodcast. It'd really help out. We'll see you next time and hear what comes out from the Horror Box.